erasing long-standing ethical and societal norms by changing the meaning of words and providing no replacements for their signification. By itself, this ascribing to oneself one or more syllables or letters that have no meaning would not be a problem. That is what names often do. While many parents name their children because of the name's meaning in some language, often names are just signifiers that, apart from a typical indication of biological sex, usually tell us little or nothing about the person. They do serve a useful purpose of identifying one individual among others. They would permit someone to get up in front of a large crowd and ask if a person having a certain first, middle, and last name were present. Statistically, if that person were in the crowd, there is likely not more than one other person in the crowd by that name. If proponents of the transgender movement wanted to make up syllables to apply to themselves, like names, it might seem odd and a poor waste of time, as we already have names for that, but in itself that would not be too problematic. What is problematic, however, is that the movement wants to take syllables, or combinations of syllables, which includes pronouns, that formerly served a useful purpose of marking out people in the world with certain biological characteristics, co-opt those syllables for their meaningless word games, and then provide no alternative words to mark out those biological characteristics. Even if the movement did seek to provide alternative words to call out those biological characteristics, it would be ridiculous to make a societal crusade of redefining the pronouns and other words marking out biological characteristics, such that those terms now refer to nothing at all, and then tell people that we are to use the alternative words to call out those same biological characteristics. The more sensible thing to do would be to let pronouns and other biologically identifying words continue to mark out biological characteristics, as they have done for centuries, and then the transgender movement would get to use for their word games remaining syllables and letters and combinations thereof that are not already being used for some other purpose in the respective language. But that is not what the transgender movement is seeking to do. Instead, it does want the meaning of pronouns to be changed so that they do not mark out biological characteristics, and there is to be nothing that replaces them. This serves two useful purposes for the transgender movement. It makes it easier to reinterpret past laws and judicial rulings that meant one thing and force into those decisions and laws a very different meaning. They can abolish existing law and make up a new law without having to go through the democratic and legislative process. That is a very convenient way to change a society. There is a second and more profound purpose that is served by co-opting biologically marking words and providing no alternative words in their place. The point of having separate words for two things is that there are relevant differences between the two that are worth calling out, and the two separate words permit us to highlight those differences. By erasing the meaning of pronouns as identifiers of biological realities through its co-opting the pronouns to mean nothing at all, and its providing no alternative linguistic signifiers for the biological realities marked out by those pronouns, the transgender movement effectively maintains that biological differences between sexes are not relevant for anything. This insistence on the irrelevance of biological differences between sexes is evident in the push to erase long-standing ethical and societal norms that are based on biological sexual differences. The movement wants men to be able to be naked in female locker rooms, and females who object to that invasion of their privacy and to the loss of modesty are enemies of transgenders everywhere. Males are to be permitted into female prisons or female-only shelters for women who have been sexually abused or raped, and the trauma and physical danger of sexual violence that the presence of those males impose on females must be ignored. A woman getting raped in prison by her male cellmate or in a protective shelter by a sexual predator is simply the price to pay for equality. Young females who have dedicated their lives to sports lose out on state competitions, trophies, or scholarships because mediocre male athletes get tired of losing to their superior male peers and instead want to compete against people who by birth and biology are at a distinct disadvantage. So in the name of equality for posers who make up a minuscule percentage of humanity, half the population is robbed of an equal playing field in sports, competitions, scholarships, and the fulfillment of their dreams. Parents are robbed of their rights to protect their children from bodily and genital mutilation, and immature children make permanent life-altering decisions that defy the order and purpose given their bodies by their Creator and have foisted on them soul-distorting denial or lifelong regret. The many ways in which the transgender movement puts real women in physical and sexual danger, invades their privacy, takes away their modesty and strips them of opportunities for equality with males, makes it an anti-feminine movement that is damaging and destructive to real women. It hates biological females, which is why there are many otherwise liberal women who are part of a counter-movement that is derided with the epithet TERF, trans, exclusionary, radical feminist. These women recognize that to erase ethical and cultural norms associated with biological differences of the sexes does great harm to biological/real women, and so they push back.
Thank you for listening. Credible Faith is a global missions-minded apologetics ministry with content available in 7 different languages across 7 websites: German, Russian, Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and English. If you would like to support the global apologetics work of Credible Faith, go to crediblefaith.org and click on the donate icon. If you would like me to give an apologetics workshop or participate in a debate at your university, or if you would like me to give a Great Commission missions conference or apologetics conference at your church, get in touch with me through the Contact Us section of the Credible Faith website. You can also submit a request through the website to get Credible Faith's monthly email. If you are a native speaker of Russian, German, Italian, French, Spanish, or Portuguese, and if you notice that an essay from the English website is not available on the Credible Faith website for your language, feel free to get in touch with me about translating the essay, and I would read through your translated material for quality control and the desire to see content from the essay made available in your language. Thank you for listening, and have a great night.